this computer. So, hey, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Be the Change Connection Call. It's April the 6th. And today's topic, I want to make it a chat and interactive as well over a cup of kind of chat. But something that has helped me over the years stay as grounded as I possibly can. Something that's really been helpful for me when everything else is kind of feeling out of control. Because here's the reality, so much honestly is out of our control. Perfect example of Zoom that we rely heavily on. And wouldn't it be easy to take Zoom for granted? Yes, even though all week I've been saying, I'm so grateful, so grateful that we have Zoom. Welcome, Val, thank you for persisting. We got there eventually. Zoom, globally is sent out an email that I don't know when they sent it, but we just came across all of this 6 minutes before our scheduled meeting time. And it's such a great example to actually bring this topic to life, because things can change like that. Things that are out of our control. Goalposts can change. Marketing plans can change. Government rules can change. And how we react, how we respond. So the word responsibility, I really like this. It's respondability, like two words. How we respond to something, and ability is where it's derived from. So what is our respondability? When we're so clear on the things that we can't control, I can't control Zoom. I can get angry, annoyed, flustered, impatient, and I did all of that in 5 minutes. And then I just have to get calm and grounded and go, okay, what's our next best course of action? And the next best course of action was to cancel it and say, I'm sorry, everyone, we can't do this, or I'll keep persisting. And if someone's out there that reads it, we'll eventually make this work. Let's see who is it. Oh, there it is. And then if I can't get it working, then all I can do is the best that I can. Does it make sense? But here's where respondability comes in. When you know what is in your control and what isn't, that's step number one. You actually have to identify what's in my control here. Can I change that Zoom now need a password and we need to communicate that to everyone? No, I can't change that. I just have to roll with. I have to be flexible. I have to adapt. I have to say, okay, they obviously are doing this for a reason. I have to have faith and trust that there's a reason that they're doing this, right? The other part is what I can control is how I choose to react. And when you can think through what's my outcome, what's my purpose? My purpose this morning is to connect with people. So just, at 20 past, when this finally all worked and people would start coming on, I thought, well, I'm just going to go live. And if people are connected and they're available, they'll see me on Facebook Live. Hopefully that's working today, right? Because even when Zoom started, going live on Facebook from Zoom is something else that we were doing regularly that changed. Doing double lives on Facebook, it changed. Are we in now a new way of business, a new digital media? Does business need to keep adapting? Massively. The businesses that aren't adapting well at the moment are finding out. The ones that aren't flexible and nimble and saying, well, what can we do? The ones that are staying focused on what we can't do. Now, this goes for people in personal lives, right? You can actually see people on Facebook in one of two mindsets. I'm going to make the best of this and help others who maybe aren't very resourceful, or I'm going to, go to victim mode. I'm going to go to, poor me. I'm going to go to this is crap and get very angry. I'm going to go to almost like the 4-year-old version. Does this make sense? And here's what I think is really interesting. I experience all of those emotions over the day, all of them. But what helps me is to remember that I get to choose how I want to feel every day. And how I feel depends on what I'm focusing on. Does this make sense? This gets really, really simple and really clear where I'm going with this. If I want to focus on all the things I can't control today, and I want to focus on the news and parts of the business that aren't doing great, and relationships that are compromised, and kids that, you know, are bored and, you know, needing more direction, and it's day one of holidays officially. If it's, here's what I do, a quick self-assessment. Is this a useful belief? Does this make me feel good? They're just the two quick questions. And if I feel it in my gut and I feel it in my chest, somewhere usually around here, some of you might feel it in your neck, some might feel it in your jaw clenching. If there's tension, the feeling is one more of fear. And then it's not going to put you in a good place. It's just not. It's going to be like survival alert brain. And then you can stay there and downward spiral. And we see this playing out, don't we? So here's what I want to teach you. It's this quick, cool little tool that I've used, and I use it with the kids as well. And it's just literally called the mood meter. And I learned it at, I think it was a Tony seminar years ago. Basically, let's just say this morning you were at maybe a 3 out of 10 and you were feeling lackluster and a bit like anxious. Has anyone felt like that over the past, you know, week or so? I'm just going to go to gallery view. Now, what I ask is, well, how would I like to feel? So in that moment, Leanne, if you were thinking, okay, I'm at a 3 out of 10, I'm just assessing literally on a scale of 1 to 10 how I feel, right? How do I want to feel and what's realistic? So for you to go from a 4 to maybe like elation, 10 might be elation, ecstatic, so excited to be alive, so grateful, sunshine and rainbows. A 4 to a 10 might feel way too much. You know what? I don't even want to be a 10, but I'd prefer to be maybe a 6. You know what? That would be relevant for me right now. That would lift me a little bit. And that would be maybe, I'd call that content. I'd call that just, you know, just being content and up, you know, maybe a little buoyant, right? That could be a 6. And so then it becomes, well, I'm here at the moment. What am I focusing on and what am I doing? And then where do I want to go and how am I going to get there? Is everyone with me so far? You kind of self-assess. Maybe you're a 2, maybe you're a -2 because you've really gone down a rabbit hole in a downward spiral, right? And you might be like, I can hardly breathe right now because of what I'm focusing on and my physiology and my thoughts of everything's out of control and I'm powerless. Does it make sense? So sometimes you first of all, we never want to get to -2, but if we do, you can always bring yourself out of it. Because remember, there's what we can control and what we can't control, and how we choose to react is always in our control, which is why there can be so many crises going on, and we can always choose to be calm, centered, intelligent, focused, right? Grounded. There's all these different feelings that are going to serve you better. If we're panicked, if we are short of breath, if we're anxious, if we're fearful, total fear, if we are jittery and we're hyper, are we going to make good decisions in that place? Even physiologically, our blood flow is not really getting to our brain. We're not breathing. And we all know that breath is the difference between just hyper and completely deeply calm. Yeah, just breath. So it's about actually remembering to breathe. So when I want to go from a 4 to, let's say, a 6 or a 7, it's all about quality questions and what you focus on. So the focus becomes, Okay, how would I like to feel? I'd like to feel content. Okay, cool. Well, then what would a quality question be so I can feel content? Work with me here because you guys are all coaches. So I want you to think about how you would do this even with one of your kids or one of your team. Okay? Imagine the same example if we take it to business and you've got a team member who feels like on a 3 or a 4 of their ability. I'm stuck, I'm challenged, it's not working, no one's getting back to me, my team don't do anything, and they're at a 3 or a 4. And they would love to be a 5, 6, or 7. Feeling in charge, feeling empowered. There's all those different ways to feel, yeah? So the quality questions come into play. First of all, awareness. Where are you? Where do you want to be? And then how do we bridge the gap? Does everyone get that? In fact, that's what coaching is. All the time. Where are you? Where do you want to be? What's preventing you? And then it's all the stories in between. It's just the stories. If you want to change it, well, now you can participate in change the state, the story, and the strategy. Make sense? So let's keep this just really simple because I want to stick to just one tool today. And that's the quality tracker, the mood meter. We want to go from, agitated, a little anxious to content. So let me ask you this. What has to happen in order for you to feel content? So imagine that you're at that 4 and someone asks you that, how to get to a 6. What would have to happen to get you to feel content? What would you have to remember? What would you have to do? How would you have to have your body? What would you have to focus on? What would you have to forget? What are some of the ways? What's your menus of feeling content? So give me some examples as if I'm asking you this right now. Pretend you're a 4. Yep, breath, great music. So do you have a playlist, Leanne, that you would go to feel more content, or would you try and get happy? Because remember, when you're annoyed and flustered or anxious, you actually don't feel like getting elated. You don't feel like getting on the tramp and doing the fire up music. Sometimes I have to really do that big extreme, but mostly, it's enough to raise the bar up. Does this make sense? Deep breathing and Spotify. Now, let me ask you this. Would it be useful, and I love these answers because they're 2 of my top things as well. What I want you to think about is a menu, a whole different menu that we come up with together. Let's share some ideas of how else you can feel content. What else can you do that is in your control, your respond ability to lift your mood? I've asked you some questions to prompt your brain there. What would you need to focus on? Remember the triad, right? Physiology. Physiology is the fastest way, like this, to go from anxious and shut down and I can't even breathe to, and you guys have said breath. How else can we move our body to get out of anxiety to contentment? Yoga. Beautiful. What else could we put on the menu? For me, I have a ritual of like self-care, self-love, like giving myself a hug, is lighting candles. Lighting candles, right? Either going and picking or go buy flowers. I love to go read a book in my favorite chair. I have my quality questions. I have my mission statement, and I have my primary question. Does that make sense? So think about, now you can do this with kids. Mum, I'm bored. Okay, well, there's no such thing as bored. It's just a state, but how would you like to feel? What do you want to feel? I don't know. Then I'll say, would you like to feel active, purposeful, engaged, physical, content, curious, interested, learning? I'll ask them and they'll choose one. And then I'll say, okay, well, what do you need to go do? What can we do that what would you love to do right now? How do you want it to be right now? Does it make sense? So this works with team, kids, you, most importantly, and others around you. So this quality mood tracker is literally, where are you? Just checking in with yourself and saying, I'm probably a 3, and that's why I've got a tight chest. You know, I'm frowning a bit, and I don't feel like I'm in control, and I'm starting to feel quite worried. I can feel it in my shoulders. You know, my shoulders are like up here. They're like earrings. I need to, and what would I need to focus on? What would I need to remember? What would I need to forget? What would I need to say to myself? Where are my values? Where's my list of values? Where's my mission statement? Where's my primary question? How can I use even more of my faith, vision, determination, and compassion right now? That's my success question that puts me back in a better place. So try it out. Where's everyone at the moment on a scale of 1 to 10? Just give me some numbers there. 7 from Rebecca. Awesome. Leanne's a 5. Barbie's a 5. Seven, 5, 5. Where would you like to be? Sometimes we're just okay being there. If we're not feeling the ill effects of it, if 5's okay and 5's just sort of, yeah, content, I'm okay with being here, then we don't have a problem. We don't have a gap. But when you feel there's constriction, there's tension, you're a bit short, you're a little agitated, that's how you know. It's a feeling. Angie's a 6 and she'd like to be an 8. So let me ask you the quality questions. What has to happen for you to go from a 6 to an 8? And usually you're quite specific on what the word is. So Ange, what feeling is an 8 for you?
Has come off mute. Just flow.
Flow. Okay, so tell me this. We asked the quality question back. In order for you to feel flow, what has to happen? What do you do typically to feel flow? How's your body move? What are you thinking about? How are you breathing? What kind of activities are you doing?
Yeah, I think a big thing for me, like with flow and to feel flow, sorry, but you can hear my kids in the background, to feel flow is progress, like to feel like you're progressing and doing things, like progressing in different areas and things in life. And for me, a big one's outside, like going and getting in the ocean and things like that. That's huge. Surfing, which I can't do at the moment because my belly's too big, but yeah.
Okay, so what would some of the other, so I'm hearing moving your body and being in nature.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
And you've also got a bit of an achiever thing in there that you're progressing.
Hang on a second, guys, I'm just talking to Linda. No, don't have a jelly bean. Yes, you do. Can you guys go outside and be quiet for a bit? Sorry, Linda.
So what I'm hearing is physical, you move your body, you're in nature, and you feel also that you're making progress.
Yeah.
Okay, so you define flow. When you say progress, is that something that you need to measure work-wise?
Yeah, work-wise, yeah, definitely. And also I think potentially personally as well, like when you kind of write down those things that you want to achieve. I think at the moment for me, like with this, hang on, I'm just going to move. We'll go upstairs. I think at the moment, just with like lockdown and stuff like that, and then so it makes it potentially more challenging for me to keep structure in my routines.
I love it. And that's a good, honest answer. So here's what I want to remind you of. It can be, and I love that you caught your language there. You didn't say it's been taken away in lockdown. You said it potentially is, and there's some new challenges instead of it's been a problem and you're stuck. You're open and curious and going, I'd like it to be how it usually is. Here's the beautiful opportunity. You can find flow anywhere, anytime. And that's what I want to
100%.
remind you of. And so flow right now, and hearing where your kids are, I would think put on a dance-a-thon right now. Get out some of that super fun energy. Ask them where they're at and where they want to be and how you all can collectively get there. And literally flow can be you all in a circle. You like dancing and spinning and putting on the calm flow music.
Yeah, we normally go like, because I'm in Perth, and so it's not quite 8 o'clock in the morning. So normally I have been trying to do a structure. I've exercised already this morning before my husband went to work. And then I've come back and just feeding the kids now. I was having my breakfast now as well. And then we'll go. I listen to this and then we go for a bike ride at 8.
Beautiful.
Like after this. And then they start their school day.
I love that. So you've already, and congratulations, because what you've done, you've already found flow and structure.
Yeah.
Yeah? Yeah. So that 8 feels like, and here's what I'm reading between the lines. Flow, true flow, we're not tracking and measuring anything. We're lost and we're in. Yeah. When we're tracking and measuring, it's rules and boundaries. It's something that we still have to meet. So what I would look at and consider is, are my rules and boundaries, the ones that I typically place on myself, still relevant over these next few weeks? And I'm asking you this because I'm asking myself this. Does it make sense? Yeah. If I'm not more flexible right now, and I'll give you an example. James and I were in the yard most of yesterday, and we want things to, we don't want to waste water with the gurney, and we don't want, the kids just running amok because there's all kinds of tools and gardening things and whatever. But we made a conscious decision of, let's not be outcome focused today. Let's go out there and like work and have a break and have fun and just kind of let go a bit today. Because there was so much tension already in the morning about who was doing what job, and that's not fair, and I want to get paid this, and it was all like that. And then we just went, let's relax and just see. We went out to assess what the work was. Some things were amazing and some things were worse than before when they started. But actually, here's the real joy. And this is where I want to finish on with this today. The real joy is finding the joy in the chaos. It's actually noticing the joy in the mess and the noise and breathing and going, oh, like John Emerald taught us the other day, just like, this is irritating. Like, I'm not getting my usual list of things done, and actually just being perfectly perfect in the chaos. And as a mum, you're going to be tested on it 50 times a day, including me, talking to myself here. So I wanted to have this conversation today because I'm feeling that push and pull every day. If I focus on, oh my God, we just started 1,500 new team. I don't even know how many have ordered their first product, how many are promoting, how many have even been on Start Strong. Do people even know what they're doing? There's this huge opportunity. It's a tsunami. There's momentum and we need to make it happen. And then I just go, like, what's the purpose of all of this? What is the purpose of all of this? I totally believe in every cell in my body, it's bringing us back to what really matters. And so an empowering question that I'm asking myself at the moment, because I am an achiever, is, does this really matter in the scheme of things? Does this really matter in the scheme of things? No. And being human and being compassion filled for you, and especially others right now who may not be very resourceful. I don't think I remember a time when I'm noticing a lot of people that I would typically say are very resourceful, not feeling resourceful. And so what do we do with that? we show up with extra compassion and we remind people that everyone is enough, they're acceptable as they are, that we're all human, having a human, existence, which is emotion, and everyone is doing the best they can right here and now with the resources they have. Yeah, because it's so easy to judge right now. I go looking on Facebook and I see some of the comments and I see some of the conflict and opinions and people weighing in, and people are so in their view of the world that nothing can penetrate, and that's very painful. It's a very painful place to be, right? And so for me at the moment, rather than judge, which is what I can very easily go to, I'm just like, wow, people's usual rules and values and boundaries and rituals and routines and schedules and outcomes are all being challenged across so many levels. And remember what happens when we get a lot of, John Amaral said it's perturbation. When we get a lot of, I don't know if this is even a word, perturbing pressure on it, you can go one of two ways. You can crumble and disintegrate, or you can rise even stronger. There's usually no in between. Does that make sense? Usually not much in between. You think about how a diamond is made. Years and years and years of pressure makes the diamond. So we only think about the gym. When we're lifting weights, you only develop the muscle. The muscle has to break and then repair to come back bigger. And you only are breaking that muscle. When does it really count? It's on which repetition really counts. It's like the 13th, the 14th, the 15th. It's the 5 after you wanted to give up. Make sense? So a lot of us are in an emotional gym right now. So think of it like this. Every day that you are digging deeper emotionally and you are going for that level of mastery, emotional mastery, where you can be centered, where you can be the rock, when you can be unshakable and unflappable. You're still human, you're having a human existence, but you don't live there. It doesn't get you for 5 minutes, it doesn't get you for 5 hours, it doesn't get you for 5 days or 5 weeks. That's where I notice my progress. Some things used to hook me for weeks. Some used to hook for days. And now most things I'm down to hours. That's how I've noticed my progress over the past few years. And it's been doing these things relentlessly. Is this a useful belief? How do I want to feel right now? What do I need to remember? Oh, I just need to remember that this is me in the emotional gym right now. So next time when this challenge comes up, it was out of my comfort zone. Now I do it so often, it's every day. I just handle it. It used to be wildly uncomfortable, but now I just handle it. Does it make sense? What's something, to finish on a positive note here, what's something that you now do at the drop of a hat that used to be really challenging? My example would be like reach outs for Leanne, just reaching out and helping people, because now you've got all these references, right? All these times of being able to do this practice and reap rewards and change people's lives because you didn't make it about you. You make it about the invitation. You make it about the opportunity. You make it about the rewards for others instead of yourself, right? And rejection or something like that. For me, so Eloise is following up. Following up. Now, chances are you have a more useful belief around this. You developed a useful belief with references like legs on a table. Now you've got references of if you didn't follow up, that person wouldn't have said yes, and now their life wouldn't have changed. They wouldn't have this money in their bank account. They wouldn't be experiencing this level of health. They wouldn't be enjoying the community and the plan B right now if I didn't do my follow-up. If I didn't make this about others, if I didn't serve, if I didn't get out of my own way and stop making it about me. Sound familiar? And that's with all parts of our business. You know, that's reach outs, follow-ups, it's showing up on social media, it's swinging the bat and asking the question. It's caring enough about others. As Jeff Roberti says, don't let your discomfort get in the way of your mission. So you came up with more useful beliefs that now serve you, that are stronger. It's a very useful belief. Same thing, you know, for me with even public speaking. I had a useful belief that maybe I was comfortable speaking to up to 100 people, but all over that, or I can't do that. Now, over 12 years of just consistently doing it and doing it and doing it and saying yes when I really didn't want to, now it doesn't matter. 5,000 is the same as 10,000. It doesn't matter. I'm there to speak, right? Because I have trust, I have faith, I'm guided, I'm blessed, I'm going to deliver the right message because I'm focused on them. Does it make sense? But it was only years ago where I still remember doing my own first in-home event using the flip chart, and I was so scared. So when you notice your progress and you notice your success steps, what did you do to get better? What did you do to keep forging out of your comfort zone, to keep building the emotional muscle so you're in the emotional gym and you're doing that emotional mastery? So right now, my friends, just to summarize here, because it's 10, here's what I want to leave you with. When you're next challenged, before you respondability is responsibility. I want you to think, is this my best action right now? Is this my best action right now? Because many of us are in reaction. So before we actually respond, and we've got your great example, Barbie, of the lady who said, you know, how can you even expect me to buy something right now when I just don't even, you know, I've lost my job, for God's sake. And what you were able to do is you came and asked a question, how would you guys respond to this? So you got a whole lot of different answers about, well, let's just take a step back and let's not make it about us. First of all, drop all of that any of this is about us. We have to drop it. We have to stop. We have to breathe. We have to consider. We've got to ask a quality question. Wow, how must she be feeling right now? Let me validate that. Let me listen and feel, felt, found. Does it make sense? Is that now a useful skill and belief every single time before we react? Yeah. So instead of reacting, where you could just defend, you know, I'm just doing my job, or lots of people are saying yes, or yes, but you can make money here, or, you know, any of those kind of answers, we get nowhere because we didn't stop and feel first. We're just in reaction, right? Which is, if we're honest, it's like our 5-year-old self. It's like 2 5-year-olds arguing of that, you know, the wounded little girl and the wounded little boy are doing the 5-year-old version. So every time, my friends, and I want to leave you with this, because a lot of people right now are struggling for their emotional empowerment. They're far from emotional mastery, but emotional empowerment. So how can you show up, dive deeper, and use this kind of resistance, this resilience time to grow bigger, to literally grow bigger every time you don't react and you stop and you pause and you consider and you have thinking time and you can ask better questions like Lauren taught us. What else could this mean? What else am I not seeing? One of the very best coaching questions that exists. What else is going on here? Because we never ever know. We never ever know what is happening in someone's life until we investigate and ask and get curious and we create enough trust and rapport that we can come forward with the truth. And usually we have to bring our own truth first. And none of this is easy, but it's worthwhile. Because the more influence you can have on yourself for your own emotional mastery, the more influence you can help others with. To influence anyone else, you have to know already, you have to influence yourself and you have to know what influences them. How do you know what influences someone else? You can make assumptions by looking at their life and how they show up and how they spend their time and what their priorities are. But honestly, you've got to ask. You've got to ask them. So this is useful for clients. This is useful for team when they're starting with you. Why are you here? What really matters? How do you really want this to be? So if I'm hearing correctly, if we can help you with this and this, that would be really great. That would feel like great progress. Okay, amazing. What else has to happen to make it happen? Make sense? So yeah, that was amazing, Barbie, right? And you know, Rebecca remembers that moment because we all learned that we can not only salvage any conversation, we can deep dive right therein and be real. And I can tell you this, more than anything at the moment, people appreciate being real. They really appreciate being real because emotions are raw. We're perturbed. A lot of emotions are right here at the surface. Would you agree? A lot of people are already feeling kinds of, now they can break through or they can break down. And you using your very best emotional intelligence can really help them make that happen. Make sense? And it's reminding people, it's just reminding them, how do you want to feel? Well, let's talk about a way, you know, the last time that you felt empowered and in charge and in the driver's seat and in flow and in momentum and being a kick-ass leader and being a, you know, super mum on fire. What was happening? And you literally look at what was the formula? What were they doing? What were they saying? What were they surrounded by? It's like recreating a scene. Does this make sense? When was a time that you were content? Have a think about that. What were you doing? What were you saying? What were you hearing? What was the success formula? What were the ingredients at that time? Well, guess what? You can do that again. It's like your own little formula that you follow. Does this make sense? So we covered a lot in our 35 minutes. And once again, my apologies, I want to stop recording.